And we back and we back and we back, man. Welcome back to the channel, man. The Longest Short podcast, man. NFL Talk with the mighty LDBC. Like I said, I got my other two co-hosts. That's 78 Sports TV. And my other co-host, Mahari Sports Nation. This is an open podcast for anybody in the LDBC that has football content. We getting on here and we're going to talk this football content. We got a fantasy draft. We're going to do that live. We got the interview coming from my brother Marcus Harris of the Kansas City Chiefs. We got another interview coming with an ex-former football player, my brother Joseph Townsend. And we have another interview coming with another former NFL player play for the San Diego Chargers. Y'all know him as BVO Sports TV Boxing. So we got some things coming from the mighty LDBC when it comes down to this NFL talk. But right now, we're going to talk about the Cincinnati Bengals. Yes, the 6-11 Cincinnati Bengals. Cincinnati Bengals didn't make the playoffs last season. As we know, they went 6-11. They got a lot going on over there. They overpaid two wide receivers who are two of the best wide receivers in the game. They have a great offense, but I've known them to do this before. They have a great quarterback and two great wide receivers, but then they neglect everything else on the defensive side of the ball, special teams, and on the offensive line. So when we talk about things like that, let's speak on Carson Palmer and Chad Ochocinco, and TJ Houshmandzadeh, who were two great Hall of Fame wide receivers, but they just didn't have anything else. They didn't have anything else. And I think that this is going to be Cincinnati's biggest issues that they've been shooting themselves in the foot with for years. Yes, you guys get a generational talent quarterbacks, generational talent wide receivers, but yet you don't do anything else. Like, when they had Carson Palmer, TJ Houshmandzadeh, and Chad Ochocinco and Johnson in the backfield. I think it was Rudy Johnson or something in the backfield. Can't really remember the name. Like I said, they can run up the points, but they just had nothing else to offer on the defensive side of the ball, nor the special teams. So that's why they failed in that experiment. But to see them do it again now, to have Jamar Chase, to have T. Higgins, two of the great quarterbacks two of the great wide receivers, to have a quarterback in the name of Joe Burrow, who was an excellent standout in college. Man, they just don't have the necessary tools, I believe, to put it together. Now, let's not get it confused. Joe Burrow is one of the greatest quarterbacks in the game as of now. He's a great quarterback talent. But the thing is this, they don't have an offensive line, which they need in this league. Joe Burrow can use his feet as well, but like I say, without an offensive line, it doesn't matter what you have going on. And I really honestly believe that the front office of the Cincinnati Bengals need to handle that in free agency and the draft. Now, I see them pick up some notable pickups in the draft and in free agency, but I don't think it's enough to shore up an offensive line, to have an excellent offensive line. So we're going to see how this season plays out. Like I said, last season, they were 6-11, which is horrible, which was very, very horrible. But, let's talk about the completions of Joe Burrow, well, passing attempts from Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow passing attempts, remember, he only played 8 games, you guys. So, don't kind of blame him on this one, but he played 8 games, which is he's showed that he can be injury prone these past couple of years. But I'm still going to say he's one of the good quarterbacks in the game if he can stay healthy. But the thing, like I said, they need to shore up that offensive line because the way he gets hit is crazy. So his passing attempts was 259. 259. How many times he attempted to pass the ball? Passing yards, 1,809 passing yards, which is abysmal for a quarterback of his stature. But like I said, he only played 8 games. Longest pass was 43 yards. Touchdowns, 17. Interceptions, 5. He's been sacked 17 times. Yards per attempt, he was 6.98. His passer rating is at 107, which is low. His rushing attempts were at 14 rushing attempts. His rushing yards was 41. His yards per attempt, 7.9. And like I said, he only played 8 games. So Joe Burrow definitely struggled last year and the year prior. But like I said, if Cincinnati can just get him some help that he needs, then uh, he can actually do something with this team. They need to draft good. They need to draft good on the defensive side, and they need some great defensive free agents because they can actually score. They can score, but if you got pass rushers from the defense on the opposite team, every time you look up, he's there in your backfield hitting your quarterback. Then those are some things that you need to address in the off season. And if you can address those things, it makes me feel like you're in a competent front office. So that makes me believe that a lot of people needs to be fired. And we just need to revamp this whole thing, this whole coaching staff and scouting crew, because what they're doing is just not working. And those are three important things. That offensive line is very, very important. The defensive front is very important. The whole defense needs to be revamped, and special teams. Let's talk about their running back. You got Chase Brown. He's a good running back. You know what I'm saying? They average good numbers, but without an excellent offensive line, he's not going to be able to show the talent that he has because he doesn't have a line to run through or hold up or create those holes for him. A great running back is only great by his offensive line. Take Emmitt Smith for a reason. You have Barry Sanders and all these other guys that was better than him, but he has the more rings because they knew back then we need this offensive line to let this guy shine right here. Take Aston Genty, how he did what he could do with the Raiders last year, but the offensive line was terrible. So just imagine if the Raiders did good by the offense and actually put together an offensive line and help these guys out. See, these running backs can be great, but they need their offensive lines to be greater. You got Samaje, who's backing him up. He's pretty good. He has some decent numbers. Like I said, when it comes to the wide receiver play, we have let's talk about the tight end. We got Mike Ejgurski, decent tight end. Nothing really great about him. Nothing really that special. The guy they had 2 years ago was actually better, but like I said, hey, he's a great pass blocker. He can block. He can catch out of the flat. But the problem is he's just not talented, or he's not as fast as they need him to be. But like I say, with a comparable front office, we can see what they can do. What they can do probably next year in the draft. And they did draft some tight ends. I don't think that they're good enough for me to even mention right now, but they did draft some guys, and hell, all the thing we can do is pray for them right now. But as far as their wide receiver dynamic with Jamar Chase, who's one of the best wide receivers in the game, what can I say about Jamar Chase? Very elusive, very fast, quick out of the gate. He will burn your best defender. He would jump over your best defender. His hands feel like they got glue on them, like super glue, because if he touches that ball with a fingertip, he's pulling it in, man. He's very, very explosive off the line. He can block off the line, and he knows how to run a pattern, a great route. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, he can catch it. He can take good hits as well. That's why he's one of the top NFL wide receivers, because of the things that he's accomplished, so you can definitely, when his career is over, I can see him in Canton or see him in Hawaii for the next several years because of the talent that he has. I think he has the potential to be the next Megatron or be the next Jerry Rice. We just got to see how Joe Burrow gets him the ball. Let's talk about T. Higgins. T. Higgins, I can say the same thing I just said about Jamar Chase. Quick, explosive, fast, can catch, learn how to route run, learn how to block. He does everything. You know what I'm saying? He can catch it. Like I said, he's to be another one that you can actually see him in Hawaii next year for the Pro Bowls, because those dynamics right there with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, those are the best wide receivers. I can say the second best wide receiver duo in the NFL. We can actually scrap or fight to see if they're number one. But like I said, they need to shore up their offensive line. They need to shore up their defense. And they need to come with a better game plan for this season. I want to see them do better than 6-11. So with them being in a tough division, I can see them actually finishing division 9-8. I'll give them 9-8 to division to finish off the season, but we're gonna see. We're gonna see. That's all we can do is see. But I give them 9-8 coming up to 2026 season.